schools. These students are from Westminster High School, so they're not too far from here. Just to start off with a few questions. Your name again, the film that you're involved in, and do you choose VAALA or Bumaway?
Bumaway.
Ooh, okay.
Spicy, fragrant, delicious. My name is Nancy. I was a co-producer and editor of Threads.
Sounds good. Thank you for joining us. All right.
Hi everyone. Pho or Bumaway?
Yeah, VAALA or Bumaway.
Pho Babiang.
All right. Just a quick.
Commercial.
All right. Doing a poll. Who chooses VAALA in the crowd for Westminster High School? All right. And then Bumaway. Oh, around 50-50 this year. All right, cool. Sounds good. So the group question that I have for both of you is, what made you decide to be part of the film that you're in for this year's VIF? Yeah, either one can start.
So for Threads, Threads is part of is actually one of 5 shorts in a series called Southeast Asian American Journeys, following 5 different communities across the U.S. 50 years after the end of the Vietnam War, the bombings in Laos, and the Cambodian genocide. And so I was brought onto this project and the series through my friend Nguyen, who directed 2 of those episodes in that series, including Threads, and produced the entire series. And it seemed like such an important and much needed reflection on where we are 50 years after the conflicts in Southeast Asia, and for it to be spearheaded by organizations like CRAC, which is Southeast Asia Resource Action Center, who does a lot of work around immigration and nowadays, unfortunately, like deportations, and Center for Asian American Media, and with the wonderful vision that Wing brings to all of their projects. Really centering communities and having important, challenging conversations and putting people in conversation with each other. So yeah, and it was like a no-brainer to be involved with a project like this.
Can't wait to see the rest of it.
Thank you.
All right. Oh yeah, first Chantal.
I joined the project because Wani, who's the director of Little Bird, is maybe the second Vietnamese filmmaker to have to be a graduate of the AFI film program, which is a really competitive program that not a lot of filmmakers get to enter, much less, I think, female and Vietnamese. And when I met her, she can't be here because she's about to give birth. Otherwise, she would be here and sharing her story because she's an incredible filmmaker. But she was really passionate about the project. It's something that an experience she knew firsthand. She had done a documentary that was based on this, and I just saw her previous work and knew that this would be a really good experience. And it turned out to be not just like a fun experience, but we're in a chat group for moms now. We're very good friends.
Sounds great. Yeah, the community is very tight-knit and very supportive of each other, from what you can see. All right, so for individual questions, we'll do Threads first. I believe you're a producer and editor for Threads, is that correct? Yeah. So what was did any things feel very unstuck and unsure when you were editing a certain scene for Threads, or when you chose the scenes for the segment?
I think editing-wise, it was trying to find a way to weave together 3 different people in this short, and they're all doing very different things. One person, we have two young people, an elder, 2 of whom are community organizers, and another person who's an artist. So trying to find ways where their stories can kind of intersect. And then one of the challenging things is that I think one of the things that we weren't able to talk too much about was sort of the Montagnard's community, the Montagnard involvement within the war, because that's still a really sensitive subject, because they're still under a lot of persecution and surveillance by the current Vietnamese government. And so that was a bit of something to toe. But yeah, just really trying to highlight the work that everyone does in the film, and hopefully it came across. But really shortly, I just want to shout out Nguyen, who was the director of Little Bird, who also directed one of the episodes in the series, but she's amazing, and I'm sure you can attest to that too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how many here are part of VACC? All right, you guys see some similarities to the Montenegrin community, and you guys kind of like the performances and stuff? Yeah. So it's really nice to see like connections between our ethnic groups in Vietnam and us as a community as well. For Chantal, what was the hardest and easiest scene for you in Little Bird?
I think there was a moment when we were discussing the script where there's a transition between what would make this character decide to help, and then the scene where I was dancing was not there yet, and I was thinking about it, and overnight I came up with that idea, and then I said to myself, I'm gonna ask Oani, but she's gonna think I'm crazy. Like who's gonna, a crazy dancing scene in the middle, and it turns into a breakdown where you realize like you need to help. But then the next morning, she and I talked, and right away she's like, I have an idea, I have to share it. She's like, what if you were dancing? And so we had the same exact idea for this moment in the film that didn't exist at the time, and that was like a puzzle to figure out. And just the fact that we had the same idea, I felt was such a special connection, which also made me think like, oh, you and I are in sync, which is always a nice feeling when you're working with the director. And so just breaking that down was a hard piece that I felt we solved. And I think the easiest part was probably connecting with the kids, like Jolie, who's in the theater next door, so I think you'll be able to speak to her when you guys are on your way out and congratulate her, because this was, I think, her first performance in a film, and she was magical. So connecting with her was super fun, and I'd say the easiest part of it.
Sounds good. Just to follow up regarding the dance scene, how did you guys both chose Ganya Demne by composer Kanban to be for that scene, or how was the thought process for that?
I believe that she had another song in mind, which she did not get the rights for, so this was another option that she liked. And I wish she was here to explain more on her decision-making process for the song, but I think it was connected to her personal experience and connection to the song.
Okay, sounds good. Before we move on to a couple of group questions with our panelists, you guys are able to ask a couple of questions in a few moments, so think of those questions for our panelists as well. For this one, it's more high school related in focus. Let's see, if you have an opportunity to talk to your high school self, what advice would you give them? I know.
Well, I thought of this because I was thinking how special it is that you guys get this opportunity to come to a theater and experience your own stories and see yourselves on the screen and be inspired through the community. Because I grew up in Montreal, and in high school, there was not a single Vietnamese or Asian person on TV or film when I grew up. And so I didn't even know that filmmaking or acting was a possibility in high school. And so I would encourage you, if this is something that you're interested in, to, it's difficult, but the stories that you have to tell are very, very important and worth sharing. So I think that would be an advice I would give to myself and to you.
I think for me, I think something in a similar vein. I grew up in Garden Grove, and I went to Rancho Alamitos. And so I'm very familiar with this area, and I think growing up, I don't think I fully appreciated how special and rare it is to grow up in a community where I'm surrounded by a lot of diversity, and especially within the Vietnamese community. And I think moving away and kind of finding myself circling back to my roots, making work, sort of collaborating with Vietnamese filmmakers, making work about the Vietnamese community, I think it's been like really lovely to have a newfound appreciation. And I wish I had that, I think, growing up, and sort of, I don't know, spent more time talking to people in the community and, you know, finding out their stories. But hindsight's always 20/20, and I am so grateful for the opportunities to have a Vietnamese filmmaking community now, that really we're all trying to preserve stories and make sure that we are reflected on the screen, like our screens, and trying to find stories that, you know, you usually don't see. So, yeah.
I'll ask one more question before, and I need a microphone runner. So on the side, there's a microphone, if you guys could grab it. My next question for you guys was, how was it like working with everyone on set for you, working with people in the community, Montenegrin community, for your film?
So I stuck mostly on the post end, so I wasn't there for production, but I can speak a little bit about it. I know Nguyen was, you know, on set for every shoot, kind of dashing around the country. And I think they spent a lot of time with organizers who are in the community. And it was, one of the challenges was around language, because the Montenegrin community consists of a lot of different tribes who all speak different languages. And so Vietnamese is sort of like an intermediary language that not everyone speaks, and so usually it would go through, like, sometimes it would be like from, like, for example, with the conversation that Soon is having with her parents, there are times where her parents are speaking Vietnamese and Wing understands Vietnamese, but Soon does not understand Vietnamese, and then Soon's parents are speaking Bunong, and then they all understand Bunong, but then the Bunong has to get translated back to Wing. And so it was one of those interesting things that, you know, kind of worked out on the day. But yeah.
A lot of language translation there. Chantal?
Yeah. Well, I think for actors, you travel through different sets for most of your career. You're working on a film here, like a TV series or a theater show, and so each of those little pieces of each set becomes a mini family. Like you're a little village, you're a little family for a couple of short months, and sometimes those relationships last months or a lifetime. Like you develop friendships. So I think of a set as a family, because everyone's working together towards a common goal, which is a really heartwarming place to live in, if you can find it most of the time.
Sounds good, thank you, Chantal. Any questions from Westminster High School? Anyone in the audience would like to? Oh, right there. Keep your hand up. All right, there's two right there. Oh, okay, we're getting extra credit today. All right, now they're gonna all ask. All right, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't even want the extra credit. My name is Elliot Lee. My teacher is Kodam. This is a good question. What made you guys, like, what about like the projects that you guys are part of, like, drew you in? Like, what made you want to partake and work on these films? Was it like through like, did it like really resonate with you, or like yeah?
Well, I think for me as an actor, I usually will pick project if I read the script and I resonate with the character in some way. If it's a story that I feel I can play and I feel is important to tell, or if it's funny, or if it's interesting, if it moves me, then I think I have the chance to move other people. So I think it's very intuitive, and it's very based on my experience with the script itself.
Yeah, I think for me with the Southeast Asian American Journeys series, I think growing up, I think for many of us, the Vietnam War is sort of a looming specter, and it's sort of like something that's challenging to sort of like look back on and try to learn about with sort of a further perspective. I think 50 years after this, I think one of the things that is missing from the conversation is sort of like a pan-Southeast Asian sort of conversation about what happened in Southeast Asia, because it wasn't just the Vietnam War, it was the secret war in Laos, it was the Cambodian genocide that were all kind of entangled. And so when being spoke to me about this project and the fact that it was going to cover Hmong farmers in Minnesota, the Southeast Asian market in Philadelphia, the Nguyen community in Portland, the Moderator community in North Carolina, and queer Cambodians and Vietnamese people in Orange County. It was such like a rich opportunity to kind of find connection and learn more about each other. And so that was a huge drawing point.
Sounds good. Thank you for your question. Who's next?
Hi, my name is Erin Santos, and I'm in Thai Anthony's class. So in Little Bird, you said you resonated with it, and the movie is sort of emotional. So how did it feel playing the bad guy at first?
I think Wani was really great at directing, with specifically how she envisioned the arc of the character. And I think there was moments where she was like, oh, you have to be tougher. You have to be tougher, like, with this guy. Like, you feel sympathy, but the sympathy has to be hidden. So, like, everyone has a facade. Like, my facade in high school was like, I'm cool, and I was late to, not a great student. But then I realized as I grew up, oh, that was my facade to protect myself from being very sensitive, from feeling alone, or from, like all the things that I was hiding underneath. And so that's the same thing with characters. So for this character, she had to bottle up all of the suppressed pain and loneliness and just do her job. And so when I think of that like that, and I could relate in the sense that like I too have my sensitivity and I too have that facade, then it's easier to play, because then you don't think, oh, everyone is either good or bad. Even bad people have goodness and good people have badness. So I like to think of living in characters not in a black or white, but always in the gray zone.
Thank you for your question. Who's next? Oh, there's suddenly all more because there's extra credit.
Hi, my name is Quinn Valenzuela, and I'm in Go Tao's class. And my question was, when you decided that you wanted to pursue filmmaking and acting as a career, how did you begin your journey, or where did you start and who did you work with?
I actually I initially didn't think I was going to work in film. Like when I was in high school, I thought I was gonna go down the STEM route and do research, and so I went to college and I got my biology degree. But at that time, I realized I started taking some filmmaking classes, and I really enjoyed how it was a way to process what was happening in the world. And in making films, and especially documentary, it put you like in direct engagement with the world around you. And it was something that like sparked a lot of curiosity. And from school, I kind of kept trying to like work on anything I could, like jump on any kind of set, cut anything I could get my hands on, and I kind of just grew a community of folks and met more folks. And Nguyen, who I worked with on Threads, I actually met at Viet Film Fest years ago and struck up a conversation. And then now, years later, we work together on 3 projects now. And so I think filmmaking, like, it really pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it also gave me the opportunity to meet other people with the same interests and just like develop really lovely relationships.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, and I was a rebellious teenager. I should have been in business or law or some, but I was not good in sciences and math. I had to get tutored all the time for that. And at one point, I met a mentor who gave me the Khalil Gibran book called The Prophet, and had me read the part about children, how you come from your parents, but you are not your parents. And that made me think about like my decisions about my life. And then I took the leap of faith of studying arts instead of like marketing, which would have been the other path. And I said to myself, I'm going to give myself 10 years to develop this craft, and if it doesn't work out, I'll switch careers. But at that point, I was able to book TV shows and theater, and the work helped, like my parents, for instance, accept that I can pursue this as a career.
All right, next question. You might want to choose to go over there. All right, next question.
Hi, my name is Nancy. My teacher's name is Ty Anthony, and this is a good question. After completing your films, do you think it changed your way of thinking in any way?
These are some tough questions.
Well, the story of Little Bird is an actual experience based on a real person that Wani is friends with that I was not aware of. So I think just putting in perspective what Vietnamese refugees are still going through present time is something that I learned about in the process of doing the film. And that I feel that's changed my perspective in the sense that we're in some ways kind of out of touch. We're in a cocoon where we're safe and, we have citizenship, for instance, or, we speak the language. And I think understanding that not everyone is in that position in the current state, brings a lot of compassion.
Thank you.
I think I'll start off with what it kind of, I think when we were starting on the project, when we were in the middle of it, it was hard, and we were like, okay, like trying to finish it, and then we finally completed the shorts, and it was kind of time to send it out into the world, and there was always that kind of hesitation of like, will people like come out to the screenings? Will they really respond to the film? And I think it's a fear that I think a lot of people have when they make work, but I wouldn't say it's like necessarily changing perspective, but it's sort of like easing a fear. But I think in the times that we've sort of like shown the films, people were like curious, or they like, for example, we had someone come to us for a screening, and they're like, oh, it was like really amazing to hear like Vietnamese on the screen, or hear like Nong on the screen, and I think it helps reaffirm the importance of what you're doing as storytellers, as filmmakers. So yeah.
One more question, last question. All right, our last question.
Hi, I'm Tommy, and I'm from Miss Godam's class. For Threads and the whole series, South Asian American Journeys, how did you guys first get in contact with these people from these ethnic groups?
I think in terms of the communities that were going to be sort of included in this series, I think that was a decision on part of CRAC, Southeast Asia Resource Action Center. And so they had some connections with people and organizers on the ground. And then Wing, who was producing, had also been, also closely follows the space and the work that people do in all of these communities. And so I think together they were able to start up conversations with folks and figure out who would be like willing to share their stories on screen. So yeah.
All right, thank you guys for your questions. So this is a fun few lightning round questions. What was your favorite high school activity? Either one of you guys can start.
Young Authors Club.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember. My memory is so bad now. I don't know. It was just like senior year, getting out of class early, like no
Nice.
sixth period.
I love that. Coffee or boba order?
Boba.
Boba.
Coffee. There's something about boba and the tea and the milk and the sugar that just creates so much plaque on my teeth.
Oh my God.
It drives me nuts.
All right. Favorite ice cream flavor?
Like berries and cream or something.
Oh, okay.
Maybe mint chip, but not the hard chip, like the
Oh, yeah,
swirly
swirly
chip.
kind. Oh, I love mint chip too. Sounds good. Most memorable teacher?
Mr. Lewis, high school English teacher.
Nice.
Mr. Durant, science teacher.
Oh, that's cool. What comes to mind when you hear Viet Film Fest?
Community.
Community.
Yeah, community and amazing films. That's 2 words, but whatever.
All good, all good. But yeah, first of all, I want to thank our filmmakers, our actress, and our producer and editor for joining us today. On behalf of VAALA, I would like to thank you all for joining us here at the Film Fest. We've listened to stories and conversations beyond on the big screen. Follow us on Instagram at Viet Film Fest and share your experiences today on your social medias with a tag. So again, thank you so much.